Shouldn't have even been out.
Took him like 3 days to break his probation.
Oh, we're back.
Looks like we're good.
Oh, there we are. We're very good, yeah.
All right, great.
So give a big smile, everybody, right off the bat, and then we're all set. Come on, Jason, I know you can do better than that.
Ready to go. Empty seat.
Are you ready, Joe?
Yeah, we're ready to roll.
Okay, I'll call the City of Maplewood Heritage Preservation Commission September 8th, 2022 meeting to order. And on the first order of business is roll call. And first, Bob Cardinal is here, Richard Curry,
I'm here, live.
and Jason DeMoe. Present. Thank you. John Gaspar sent a note that he had a conflict. He is not here. David Hughes.
Here.
Barbara Kern.
Here.
And our city council liaison, Nikki Valovicino, is not here. Our staff member, Joe Sharon, is here. All right, thank you. First, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Anyone? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as prepared?
So moved.
Is there a second? Jason?
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Aye, we have a 5-0. Okay, approval of the minutes. The minutes are from July 14th, 2022. Any changes or additions to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as prepared?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Jason, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thanks, David. There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes as prepared for July of 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, opposed?
Stayed.
Okay, Richard Curry is abstaining. He was not at that meeting. Thank you, Richard. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Our liaison, Joe Sharon.
Okay, as you saw in the packet, we actually have a request here to review the Architecture and History Survey Report from the American Cooperative on Lake Fallon to fulfill the 106 historic process. Basically what this is they're building a senior cooperative in that area. They were getting some federal funding from HUD, and as part of that process, they need to make sure there is no historical significance within the area of effect. As you see, there's a report that was prepared by Pigeon Consulting in association with NENAL. They had gone through, looked at the area. They had surveyed some of the apartments in that area, and then they also did underground scanning to see if there's any architectural significance. Their report found generally no historical significance in the area. The Historic Preservation Office, State Historic Preservation Office has signed off on that, and I would request a motion to approve the letter to concur from the chair, which confirms there is no resources within the identified area of the American Cooperative on Lake Fallon at 1875 East Shore Drive North.
I'll make the motion that we authorize the chair to sign it.
Any discussion? Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this, on the letter? Did everybody review it? Thanks, staff, for submitting this to us. And the packet is like 40 pages or something like that. Let's see here.
It's very thorough. My favorite were some of the original advertisements for the apartment complex there.
Yeah, 39 pages. That's interesting that that those apartments were built in 1965. I didn't realize that.
You see that also, that little corner there, that was part of the St. Paul tourist cabins.
So we have this full packet. The public should know if they want to review this or have any questions about it, they can call city staff. There's a full disclosure, and as staff indicated, there is funding, federal funding, and that's why we are reviewing it. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the letter, and the chair will sign for the Architectural History Survey report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that approves. We move on to number 2, review annual report planning document. Joe Sharon.
Okay, as you're aware, the Maplewood Heritage Preservation Commission, under its duty as a special designated commission to preserve historic projects, has to put a report in with the State Historic Preservation Office annually. This is to ensure that we are fulfilling our duty. The membership reflects both members of the community and the specialty areas of the that are required by the commission. So as you see in front of you, I just outlined some of our accomplishments. As this year, we added 2 new members, one being Commissioner Hughes, is a retired history teacher whose credentials fill the need of our history member requirement. We are actively recruiting someone from the community, someone who has both diversity in our community, but also someone who has the credentials required by SHPO. With your help, we've created a 3-year strategic plan, and you can see what that entails. We've also began some of the legwork on the historic designation for St. Jerome's Church, for its long support, for its architectural significance and its long support of housing and hosting and educating waves of immigrant and refugee communities in Maplewood. The commission chair, as of next week, the staff liaison, and one of our members will attend the Preserve Minnesota conference as required by the state of Minnesota. Only one of us is required to go, but I'm glad we have a couple of people going. One of our liaison with the state is pretty excited that we have a good turnout. We've also done things like documented with photos and drone, the decommissioned London Lane Fire Station. While not historic significance, it did play an important role in the history of our city. We've also documented with videos and drone the Gladstone House, which is still in place, but it is tentatively being pursued for sale.
That one also might have historic value because that was the original city hall.
Yes.
So there's in this book that I've been trying to get everybody to get, there's information on that.
Gotcha. Okay. And then we've also done another 106 review of the water treatment plant for their upgrade. And now we've done the 106 review for the Shores at Lake Phelan development. So these are kind of just a list of accomplishments. I look past, usually what they'll do is we'll put some photos of things that have happened in the past. We'll list these accomplishments, we'll list the members, we'll charter out what our charter is. And from here, if anyone has any additional things we need to list as accomplishments, I will bring a draft copy to the October meeting for approval to then submit to the state. And these are due by October 30th. So we're in pretty good shape unless there's something major I missed. But I think we have hit all of our requirements, or at least attempted to hit some of those requirements, and it will keep us in good standing with the state as a historic preservation commission.
Joe, you mentioned in here the McCarran's water treatment upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little history on that? What's happening there?
Gotcha. So I'm not sure, off the top of my head, I don't know the whole history, but essentially it's a 100-year-old facility that has served the St. Paul region, including suburbs like Maplewood and other suburbs, for 100 years. And in order to preserve for the next 100 years, they have to do some demolition of buildings. Some of those buildings were found to have historic significance. However, I believe to make the project go through, they had to, and the project itself was of such community significance that it needed to go forward. So again, what in accordance with SHPO and other entities, they have put out a plan to document the history that is there, possibly put out a coffee table book, possibly put out a video so that people can remember it. If you ever do visit the if you ever do visit the McCarran's water plant, they have done a really nice job initially of documenting their history through not only photos, but through interactive, but through modeling. So there's models, there's photos, and it gives you a good context of what their history is. But again, to keep fresh, clean drinking water for 500,000 residents, this is a project that had to continue on.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Joe?
And I will note that he's not here this evening, but Commissioner Gaspar did sit on that 106 process.
Great. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to approve the annual report planning
Well,
document?
Hang on one second.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
don't need the motion tonight.
We don't, okay.
This is just up for discussion.
Okay, okay.
And the motion to approve the report will be next week.
Okay.
Next time around.
Okay, very good. Okay, then we'll move on to the Ramsey County Poor Farm Water Tower. Joe?
Okay. As you see toward the end of your packet, this is a long packet this time around. I feel like because we had that week off here, we have a pretty robust, a month off, we had that robust packet. As you're aware, the Ramsey County Care Center has closed. As part of the closure, they want to make sure the county wants to make sure it's securing the facility. Unfortunately, they've had some vandalism, some people trying to create a nuisance around the water tower. They are exploring, according to the contact at the county, they're exploring a variety of options to secure the water tower, one of being which is to take down the tower. As you can see here in the outline, our conversations were well outlined. We wanted to make sure, because the Ramsey County Poor Farm Barn was on the is a historically designated site, that this wouldn't interfere with that. We connected with our liaison from the SHPO office, who did go through the inventory, and we were informed that, in fact, the tower itself is not part of the historic site. I forget what they're called. I forgot what they called it, but it's not part of the historic. Forget what they catalog. It's not part of the catalog. Is what I'm saying. So we had gone back and forth. I had reached out to the county. This was as a few weeks ago. I had reached out to the county again today to see if there were any updates. There are no. Well, the county hadn't gotten back to me, so we're not sure what the updates could be. Essentially, this decision would ultimately lie what to do with it with the Ramsey County Board, and that's where it would be. I mean, obviously, that's where the decision lies. So that's, again, I don't know if there's.
Okay,
Good. Yeah, I at this point, I don't have a motion to entertain. I don't have anything. This is more for informational purposes.
Yeah, this is very good, because you're right on the front end of what's occurring there.
Bob? The
Richard.
thing is, right next to it is the powerhouse. That water tower actually fed the barn at one point, but when they tore down the nursing, or the old nursing home, I don't think they included, it might have been an oversight. All they wanted to save is that barn. They moved the house, I think it was the administration house, down onto Kennard Street. If you go down Frost and you look north, you'll see it. But the powerhouse and the thing, I think we should be able to add to, amend, or what have you, include that tower and the powerhouse.
Well, thank you, Richard. I think what we have here is some information. This has just come forward. And so it'd probably be a long process. It wouldn't happen real quick. So the public is now made aware that that water tower up at the Ramsey County Farm barn next to it, you can see that big tower up there, is subject to demolition. So if it means anything to anybody, they should be alert to this and follow this issue, and we'll have an update next month.
Well, you know, they say because it's getting vandalized or tagged. Well, if they're gonna do that, let's tear down all the bridges that they mark.
Yeah, well, we'll keep this on the agenda. Joe?
Yes,
next
yes.
month.
I will try to stay in touch with the county and get an update and see what the status is.
It'd be nice to get them here too, so they can explain it themselves.
I honestly don't know if they have much more to say other than what they had told us.
Okay,
Because
so,
they did that with that stairway in the barn. They came and took it down. I looked at it, they had it laying down, it was still in one piece, it didn't fall all apart.
okay,
so-
well, the public's made aware of this, so,
And
you know,
another deal,
And I will make the,
there's another picture of the old barn that they had the chickens and the cows in,
okay,
or small animals,
okay.
that we
Joe?
burned.
gosh, I will just make the commission aware that we did, after that incident that Commissioner Carey referred to happened, we put a marker in our system so that if any repairs or any work was done to anything else on the historic, it would flag, the software would flag to make sure it came back in front of the
Thank you,
commission.
thank you.
And that was by our planning commission took the lead on doing that. Or our
Okay.
planning department.
Thank you, Joe. Any other discussion on the water tower at the Ramsey County Port Farm? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to unfinished business, demolition application. Joe?
So demo applications, we had 2 this month. One was filed for Maplewood Middle School, 2410 Holloway Street. As you know, the school district, ISD 622, is going through a major renovation project of all of its buildings. So that's part of that. I don't know if there's any more to discuss there. As far as there's another building, there was a fire in the building at 811 County Road B East, and they applied for a demo permit for that building as well because of the fire.
Okay.
I knew about the fire.
Yeah. Okay, that's it, Joe?
Yeah, that's it for that one.
Okay, and then we move on to the update on St. Jerome's local designation.
Okay, so this one we're making, slowly but surely, we're making progress on this one. As you remember from meetings past, you know, again, our charter from the state is that we have to try to designate at least one building of historic significance each year. We did look at St. Jerome's for a variety of reasons. I want to thank Commissioner Carey, Commissioner Hughes, and I believe Commissioner Kern, who did some of the initial legwork. We are in the process of trying to set up a meeting with folks at the church to see what the next steps are. I think with this church is kind of twofold. One is determining is there architectural significance there, A, and then B, did something significant enough happen that it would qualify for historic registration. I had been given a phone number earlier on tonight. I think there was some confusion. They meant to call us. They called the Maplewood Historical Society instead. I will follow up on that phone call, and we'll try to get that meeting in the books. And I think because of quorum issues, it's probably best if it's just Commissioner Carey and Commissioner Hughes who had previously indicated their interest in, participating in that conversation.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kern and Hughes, thank you for taking that on. It's important as we move forward. Okay, the last one is new board member recruitment update. Candidate background, Joe?
Gotcha. So we are authorized for 7 commissioners. We're down 1 because of Commissioner Fett not renewing. We do have 1 after some exhaustive marketing or recruitment efforts. We do have 1 person has come forward, and which is really interesting because this person will fill the archaeology background that we need for the commission. The person is a Maplewood resident. They do have some significant work in this field, and they're also very familiar with sort of the rules and regulations of SHPO. The process is going to fold out where, as the 2 new members will be able to tell you, I forget what date it is, but they will eventually be called in front of a city council at a workshop, and city council will do an interview, and if the city council feels this person has the qualifications, they'll make the recommendation to appoint them to this board, and hopefully we can get them sworn in.
Great, thank you. Good report. Okay, we're moving on to visitor presentations, Maplewood Area Historical Society update, and TJ. TJ, would you introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yes. Chair Cardinal, Commissioners, Mr. Sharon, I am TJ Molaski. I'm the Executive Director of the Maplewood Area Historical Society, and it's good to be back in front of you after a break, so it's good to see you all. A lot has happened in the last 2 months, I guess, since we've been together, and I'm excited to share some information with you all. Next week marks my 1-year anniversary in the role of Executive Director, so a lot has happened. I've been looking back at kind of an annual set of numbers, and over the last 12 months, we've seen over 10,000 visitors to the Maplewood Area Historical Society's Brew and Troop Heritage Farm. So that's pretty exciting. Pre-COVID numbers ranged about 6,000 annually, 6,000 to 7,000. So that is an exciting number. I think that shows that the people of Maplewood and the Maplewood area are craving and enjoy and like to have a sense of community around a historic site. And of course, for those of you that have been out to the Brew and Troop Heritage Farm, it is an absolutely stunning, beautiful museum. So we're lucky to have that, and I am pleased to be at the head, making sure that our community has the best museum we can provide them. So that's pretty exciting. Little bit of brag basket here, and I'm going to poke Joe here because our Maplewood Area Historical Society Facebook page has now surpassed the City of Maplewood Facebook page in Facebook followers. So maybe I'll take you out for a beer to commiserate or something, Joe. But
So I appreciate that. Actually, if you look at our public safety and park and rec
I'm
page,
city. We'll start with the city. But Joe does manage several of the city Facebook pages.
you have
but
an Instagram page.
I just, yes, you have a better Instagram page. But anyway, so that's kind of exciting. We've more than doubled our followers in the last year as well on Facebook, and are building a broader social media network, which of course is helpful in providing educational information. We've been focusing a lot this year on telling the Brew and Troop family story, which of course is the family who donated the farm to the Historical Society and to the city so that we could have this sense of history and culture here in Maplewood. So we've been telling that. We're also telling Alice Olson, very famous local teacher, her story lately. So that's been exciting as well. So this Facebook reach is a great way for us to both get our educational word out there, but also about our events, and also helps build a sense of community online. Within the last 2 months, we've ended our 5 weeks of summer camps out at the Brew and Troop Heritage Farm. We saw over 60 students who partook in the Farm to Table, Arts on the Farm, and Hmong Language and Culture Camp out there this summer. And that was an exhaustive 5 weeks, let me tell you. That 6 week right after that, I had forgotten what it meant to sit down and relax for a little bit. But it was great. We also have just said goodbye to our 3 interns that we had over the summer, our 10-week interns. We had 2 nonprofit leadership interns, Kara McGowan and Sophia Pfeiffer, and we also had a special intern in collections and exhibit design, Caleb Johnson. So we said goodbye to them. One of the great things is that Kara and Caleb are staying on as volunteers, and so I think that speaks well to our organization. in a professional capacity. We recently had our annual meeting. I think we had a record number of attendees with 56 attendees present, and had elections for board members, at-large seats, and also decided that we were going to review our bylaws as we move forward into becoming a larger and more established regional museum. We also have seen an influx of visitors from not just the local area, but across not just even the Twin Cities, but greater Minnesota. We had a visit from a senior living facility in Mankato who came up just to visit us. So that's pretty exciting, and shows that we're reaching out and growing with the capacity to serve a much broader population. There's been a lot of work, and there continues to be a lot of work on the buildings at the Bruin Troop Heritage Farm. We have 12 historic structures at the farm, which is a lot. There are county museums that do not have that many. There are Minnesota Historical Society sites that do not have that many. And I really need to give a shout out to our amazing volunteers who continue to work daily on maintaining those buildings. A year ago, when I was going through the process of being hired, I came out to the farm several times with some of my colleagues who are preservationists, and really asked about the condition of the buildings. I did not want to take on this job inheriting buildings that I was going to spend all my time trying to raise money just to Band-Aid and bubblegum patch historic buildings. These buildings are in amazing condition because of the volunteer corps, particularly Bill Bruintroop, who of course grew up at the farm and continues to work and put his love, energy, effort, and donations into making sure that this farm is everyone's family farm here in Maplewood. So that's an important thing that I don't always share, but I need to make sure that I'm mentioning that, because we're really lucky to have those 12 historic structures in Maplewood, as I think you all know. Upcoming events. Let's see if I've got this in order here. Our farmers market continues to be a huge success. We've been seeing between 300 and 400 people every Sunday for those 4 hours in the morning. There are museums that would love to have 400 people a week through their museum, and we're getting that in 4 hours. And they're not just coming for the farmers market, they're going through our exhibits, they're partaking in our hands-on exhibits and demonstrations and crafts that we provide as well. Last month, Commissioner of Agriculture Tom Peterson came. He said he extended National Farmers Market Week by a day to come out and spend an hour with us at the farmers market. And I was really proud to show Commissioner Peterson around. And as he was leaving, he said, you know, TJ, I've gone to 17 farmers markets this year. He said, you did it right. This is good. So that's a pat on the back for not just the Maplewood Area Historical Society, but I think the community at large. So well done there to everyone who participates. The farmers markets continue through the end of September. So if you haven't made it out yet, I hope you'll make it out to the farmers markets and partake in some really local produce and food and products that are made right here in Maplewood, some of them, but also in our surrounding communities as well. Sunday, October 16th, it is our fall Big Red Barn Folk Arts Fair. May was an amazing folk arts fair. We saw 2,000 people in 3 hours on the farm. We've extended the event for this fall by an hour, so it'll be from 10 to 3 on Sunday, October 16th. We have almost 300 applications for vendors in. Of course, we cannot accept 300 vendors, so that is taking a lot of my time now, narrowing that down to make sure we have the best vendors possible for that event. It's a great event, lots of great crafts and products, and some great food trucks as well. October 20th, at Wakefield Park at 6 p.m. we have our next History's Mysteries. We just wrapped up our last History's Mysteries, which was about Henry Spicer, who was trapped in Europe at the a Maplewood resident who was trapped in Europe at the outbreak of World War II. That was a really fun program that was put on by our interns. The next History's Mysteries, October 20th at 6 p.m. at Wakefield Park, will be on Sarah Wakefield, for whom the park is named. And she has a kind of torrid Victorian history love story that ties into the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. So come on out for that. It should be fun. That's a free event at Wakefield Park. On October 21st and 22nd, which is Minnesota Education Weekend, we will be offering 2 day camps, full day camps from 9 until 4 for elementary school-age children. On Thursday, it is called Architecture Farm, and we're doing that in conjunction with Angela Wolf-Scott, who is an architect with McDonald and Mack, who is a major architecture firm in the Twin Cities that works with museums. We'll be focusing on the architecture of farms and farmsteads and how farms grow over time and what that architecture looks like. And then we're also on that Friday doing a day Arts on the Farm camp. Those are $40 a day or $70 for both days on that Thursday and Friday. We'll be tying in heavily the Bruin Troop family story into both of those camps. On November 23rd, we have a draft from the past with Beer Choir Twin Cities again. We will be talking about European drinking customs and with some beer, which is pretty fun. It's a fundraiser for the farm with Beer Choir. We are going to have to figure out how to limit the number of people that can attend that event, because that event has been growing and growing and growing. I know, Jason, you've been there. Joe, you've been there. It's a great event. It's super fun, but we're going to have to figure out how we can manage to keep the barn at capacity and not overflow the day before Thanksgiving. So that is Thanksgiving Eve, and it's a pretty fun event. So consider getting your tickets early for that. On December 10th, we will have a new event, St. Nicholas Tag on the farm. The Bruin Troop's, of course, a German immigrant family, so we'll be exploring German customs around St. Nicholas Day. We will have a St. Nicholas. We will have other German customs. We will have a mini Christmas market. And again, this year, I will be going up in the lift to try to raise money for the farm as a fundraiser. I will have to see who's going to go with me. Jason, you're going to ride up with Joe up in the lift this year? I don't know. So maybe we'll have to do some sort of contest to see who gets suckered in with me up into the lift. So for those of you that don't know, last year on November 19th, City Council member Villavicencio and I went up 40 feet into the lift, and we didn't come down until we had raised almost $5,000 that day. So that's a fun fundraiser. That'll take place in conjunction with St. Nicholas Day on the farm, and more events or more information will come with that. So I just spewed a lot of information at y'all. But I will be happy to take any questions or comments that you have at this time.
So TJ, how many hours were you up in the lift?
God, I don't remember. Joe, do you remember? Was it like 3?
I think it was about 3-4 hours. It was 19 degrees that day.
Degrees that day.
And he was up there with, you said council member.
Yeah, it was a lot. And the initial thought was that we would come down a foot for every donation that came in. We decided after a little bit we were just going to stay up there till we got close to 5,000.
Okay.
So the total that we brought in over the course of that year-end campaign was about $5,000. So, yeah.
Okay, and then my other question is, how many students are you going to limit the registrations for those 2 days in October?
That's a good question. So right now we're looking at 30 students per day. We could potentially raise that depending on the volunteer levels that I can provide for adult volunteers on those days as well. But right now we're looking at 30 students a day.
Was that latest mystery you did, the book you were talking about that your intern found in the attic?
So for those of you that don't know, I was talking last time, which seems like eons ago. I guess was that July, last time we all met, and we had found, our interns had found a travel diary from Henry Spicer, who was traveling through Europe in 1939 and was literally in Paris when World War II broke out and got stuck there for, I think, almost 4 weeks before he could get on a boat back to the United States. So yeah, that's that travel diary. We also found his son wrote an autobiography as well that we have in our collections. So pretty interesting collections. Again, our collections in Maplewood here number around 18,000 pieces in our collection, which is pretty astounding.
Okay. TJ, I got one question. You are the director of Maplewood Historical Society, right?
The executive director, correct.
And in Maplewood, we also have the Savannah, which is the railroad, and the Bruce Ventle Trail, plus down on the south leg, Fish Creek, which they've done. Have you planned, and some of these cemeteries, have you planned any activities at any of them?
So those sites are not controlled by the Maplewood Area Historical Society, and while we continue to share those stories, we do share those stories online, and we share them when folks come into the museum. Our museum is located at the Bruin Troop Heritage Farm. That is our physical brick and
Society, right?
Yeah, so that is our physical brick and mortar location. And we are in the process of branching out, which is why we are doing a lecture series, The Histories Mysteries at Wakefield Park. Branching out and creating new programming is an intensive process. And so we need to make sure that we're monitoring our resources so that we can maintain, again, those 12 historic structures on top of meeting the needs and expectations of those people that come to our physical site. So while I would love to be able to have a presence at every historical place of significance in Maplewood, that is not at this time a possibility.
Because we have had activities at all of them before with volunteers.
Okay, well, TJ, that was
Yeah,
a lot.
that's a lot.
And
Well, we had 2 months to catch up on,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So-
You know, we were all listening.
Yeah.
And thanks for giving us those future dates.
Absolutely. Please reach out if there's any other questions.
Yeah. Joe.
And congratulations on being a year.
Thanks, I made it a year.
And being someone who hasn't been here that long, I'm stunned that you've only been there a year. For as much in control as you seem to be, and your hand on everything, all the things you got going, it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
TJ. So, Jason, I want to single you out as that board member, the secretary for the society. Doing a great job. Thank you. Okay, anything else for the betterment of City of Maplewood?
For adjournment.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank Richard and Jason and Barbara and David and Joe for a very excellent and full meeting. And we will see you on, I think it's Thursday, October 13th. All right? Anything else, anyone? We're adjourned.